So there is a must-win game for the Fijians just around the corner after the narrow loss to Wales in the first round of the Rugby World Cup. Now their game up against Australia, if they don't win it, could be the end of their Rugby World Cup. And for this video, I have decided why not do what we've done for the Springboks and the All Blacks throughout the last little while, and that is predict who we think will be in the Fijian starting lineup and reserves for this very important upcoming fixture. Now, I will mention some of these changes that I have made. The selectors probably won't, but I decided to throw them in there just based off what I saw throughout that first game up against Wales. And hopefully our overall side is relatively close to what they go with. But do let me know as we go through who you guys would have as well in the comments down below. But we will start with the front row. And this is actually where I've made 3 changes. Number 1, Peni Ravai. Number 2, Tavita Ikanaveri. And number 3, Misaki Donge. Now we know how important this game is for Fiji. They of course have 2 more matches in their pool up against Portugal as well as Georgia, but I feel for this game in particular, they need to make sure that they aren't overworking the 3 individuals who did play in that last game up against Wales, although they do make an appearance a little bit later on in this lineup. So I decided to go with Peni Ravai. He looked very strong coming off the bench. Tavita Ikanaveri, we also saw a few moments from him later on in the game, and then Misaki Donge, always talented player in the locking duo. This is where I've actually kept it the same. It is consistently what the Fijians have gone with over their last few matches, so I decided not to break it up now. Number 4 is Soana Silasila, and number 5, Te Ehoaru Tharikadavita. Looking at the loose forward trio. Now this is where it gets very tricky. Of course, you've got the options of Deria Langi, also in number 6, Albert Tuisui is who they went with last week. In this game though, he may be slightly out of position playing here, but I feel like there's got to be some spot for him in the starting lineup. I did go with Lavani Botia as the number 6. Like I mentioned, probably something that the Fijians may not actually do, but I'd love to see him get an opportunity somewhere in that loose forward trio. I felt that his work off the bench was phenomenal up against Wales, one of those experienced players that really helped the Fijians in the later stages to try and get themselves that massive comeback. So Lavani Botia, he would be my starting 6. Number 7, I've gone with Lakema Tangitangi Valu. Now, if he hadn't played so well up against Wales, I would have given Lavani Botia that 7 spot, but he got himself a try. Also just playing that real physical game, which I feel is what Fiji will need to do up against the Australians. Try and put them on the back foot. And this man at number 8 can certainly do that as well, and that is Viliami Mata. Had some brilliant running meters up against Wales, put in some massive shots as well. I think his hit on Nick Tompkins was one of the biggest of round 1 in the Rugby World Cup. But looking through now at the backline, number 9, I have gone with Simeone Kuravuli. Now I know that I've been talking about this quite a bit in recent videos in terms of the fact that I would actually start Kuravuli rather than Frank Lamani and have Lamani coming off the bench as that X-Factor player, but I felt that when Kuravuli made his way out onto the field, the backline almost functioned a little bit more smoothly, and that is something Fiji will need from the get-go in this game, because we know Australia like to start fast. They like to score the first try of the contest, but if Kuravuli can get that backline firing early, perhaps Fiji could be the first side to get themselves the try. Number 10, I've stuck with him hesitantly. It is Tete Tela. Unfortunately for the Fijians, with that big injury of Caleb Muntz, it's left that really big gap. And the reason they may not go with Kuravuli is they have Frank Lamani as the kicking option in the early stages of the game. But I'd like to think that if Fiji are going far in this Rugby World Cup, eventually they may start to give that confidence back to Tete Tela off the kicking tee. So I have gone with him at number 10 rather than Vilamoni Botitu, who was the player that was added in. For Caleb Muntz out on the left wing, I've stuck with Vinaya Habosi. More than likely we'll be going head-to-head with Mark Nawanganitawasi. I feel like that will be a little bit of a rematch from Super Rugby Pacific not too long ago. A pretty awesome one when those two guys go head-to-head. And Vinaya Habosi, he's just got that ability of breaking the line, causing trouble for defenders. And that is why he's still in my starting side. In the centre combination, I've actually stuck with the same as what they went with in the Welsh game. That is Semi Radradra at number 12, and at number 13, the captain, Waisia Naiathalevu, actually scoring himself a try in the Welsh game as well. It seemed to be working quite nicely. It's just the fact that occasionally the Fijians didn't quite get the ball to them enough. We did see a lot of stop-start throughout the game. I believe the amount of penalties that Wales was given away did kind of mean that the Fijians weren't able to find that momentum as often as they would have liked. But definitely a dangerous midfield combo with these two individuals. Number 14, I've actually gone with Joshua Tuisova. I felt that he went very well off the bench. It was a question mark of whether or not he would have any signs of that injury that did keep him out for a few weeks. But he was looking dangerous, so that is why I put him into the starting lineup. That is rather than Celestino Ravatamunda, who I felt had a little bit of a mixed bag of a game. He had some great runs, and I believe he was tied for second most defenders beaten throughout all of round one. But it was just at times defensively that it seemed like Ravatamunda was getting a little bit caught out. So I go with Tuisova in the starting side. And then at number 15 to close out the team, Eliza Druasisi. I felt he did pretty well at fullback up against Wales, so I would keep him in the starting lineup. Looking through at the reserves, and this is where you will hear those familiar names from last week's starting front row. Number 16, Sam Matavesi. Number 17, Aroni Maui. And number 18, Luke Tangi. So actually the same 6 that they did have in the Wales game, just switched around to lighten the workload just that little bit more. And Fiji, I'm sure no matter what they go with, they will look to be physical. At the front, number 19, same as last week, Timo Mainavanua. And number 20, this is where I've got Albert Tuisui. Now, I could have gone with Meri Dirialangi, could have given Mira an opportunity, or perhaps someone else I could have slotted into number 20, but I did go with Albert Tuisui, just because that size, that physicality late in a game could be very handy. For the Fijians, number 21, I've gone with Frank Lamani. Number 22, Kalaveti Ravovo. It will be his first chance of the Rugby World Cup, but throughout that Fijian Drua season, I think we saw enough of him to know that wherever he plays in that back line, he can have a real impact, and he offers the cover of playing centre as well as out on the wing as well. But this is actually somewhere that they may consider Vilamoni Botitu to give him a bit of a crack. But maybe it would be better to have someone who is already with the squad, such as Kalaveti Ravovo, and then at number 23 to close out my Fijian side that I think they may go with, / what I want to see them go with, it is Jita Wainyolo. There's also a chance that they go with Sareli Mwala. Ravatamunda could also be a good option at number 23, but I think Jita Wainyolo, with the speed that he offers late in a game, could be exactly what the Fijians need. But do let me know, ladies and gentlemen, who would you go with in your Fijian 23-man side? Now, we do know that the Fijians are going to be announcing their side on the 15th of September, which will be tomorrow from when this video comes out at 10 p.m. New Zealand time. I believe that is the same in Fiji, although I could be wrong, maybe an hour's difference there. But as soon as the side is announced, we will be letting you know exactly who has made their way into the team. And it should be a very exciting game between the Fijians and the Australians. Like I mentioned, this game for Fiji, even though they walked away from their first game with 2 points, the losing bonus point for being within 7, as well as the bonus point for getting 4 or more tries, this is still a must win. If they're able to do that, helps them work their way towards those quarterfinals, and then Australia and Wales may find themselves jockeying for the other spot. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We will be covering that match on the channel as well with the live commentary. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all for the next one.